Hello everybody, my name is Andy Langdon. I'm a naturalist with the Elkhart County Parks Department, and we're continuing our series today on nature A to Z. So today our letter is the letter U, U for Ursa. Okay, Ursa actually means, it's a Latin word that means bear, and the word bear comes from let me see if I can get this right, an Proto-Indo-European word which means bright brown. So bears are, we live in northern Indiana and we don't see many bears around here. But every once in a while bears do come through here. And so that's one of the reasons I'm talking about bears, because it is possible we see one. We've had four confirmed sightings since about 2015, 2016, 2018, and just lately 2021, because we had one that was killed on the road, a patrol road in northern Indiana in Elkhart County in 2021. So we know they're coming through the area. These are just usually immature or young bears that are seeking out new territory. So keep in mind that Indiana is surrounded by other states that do have bears. Kentucky, Ohio, southern Ohio, of course Michigan has lots of bears, and Illinois, it's a narrow state. And bears come from Wisconsin and Missouri. They can cross that state and they get right in here. Southern Indiana is perfect bear habitat. So just cross the river and you're in Kentucky. So bears across the river, they come here. So we do see bear here in Indiana, but we don't see them very many often in northern Indiana. So we're talking about bears, okay? Now, bears here in the state of Indiana are listed under species of special concern, so they are protected, but we just don't see very many of them around here. So we have 4 species that live in the northern hemisphere, 4 species of bear that live in the southern hemisphere. We've got 8 species in the world. And of those 4 species, 3 of those species live here in North America. And that would be the brown bear, which includes the grizzly bears, the polar bear, and the black bear being the most common. They're called Ursus americanus. That's a scientific name. And you say, well, how do you tell a black bear from a grizzly bear? Well, that's pretty easy, actually. You know, black bears are black, grizzly bears are brown. You can't go by that. Sometimes black bears will be brown, cinnamon color, even white sometimes. So you can't go by that. Sometimes you get a dark grizzly bear, maybe you go by size, but sometimes you have a large black bear or a small grizzly bear. One of the best ways to tell the black bear from the grizzly bear is look at their claws, okay? Black bears will have short claws, about 1 inch long. The grizzly bears will have a very long claws. Grizzly bears also have a hump, a very large hump on their shoulders. The grizzly bears and the hump on a grizzly bear is pretty pronounced. Now the way you can tell is the facial features. And with the grizzly bear, its nose kind of goes kind of disc-shaped. So it's kind of a concave shape. With the black bear, it's either a Roman nose or it may be kind of more of a straight shape. Okay, the ears of a black bear are generally going to be taller and more pointed than a grizzly bear's. A grizzly bear's ears are usually pretty rounded. So there are several characteristics that you can look at between the grizzly bear and the black bear. Of course, you want to get that close to look at them, but there are some ways that you can tell them apart. I guess another way to tell the black bears from the grizzly bears is you sneak up right behind a black bear or a grizzly bear, the bear in question, and you kick it as hard as you can, and then you run to the nearest tree. So if it's a black bear, the black bear will run up the tree and kill you and eat you. If it's a grizzly bear, the grizzly bear will push over the tree and then kill you and eat you. So let you know if it's a black bear or a grizzly bear. All right, let's talk about the characteristics of a bear in general. First of all, bears are listed as carnivores, but about 80% of their diet, in the black bear anyway, is not meat. It's vegetation, insects, but not meat. And if you look at the bear's teeth structure, you can see why they might be listed as omnivores. They're listed as carnivores, but they're actually omnivores. So if you look at the bear's teeth here, you got flat in the back for chewing. So they chew a lot of vegetative matter, lots of insects and things like that. But they're rip and tear with these front teeth right here. So they are made for. So they are omnivores, but they're also carnivores. They're listed as carnivores, but they're omnivores. Our black bears can range anywhere from 150 to 400 pounds. The males are larger than what the females are, so they can get to be quite large. So there was a polar bear killed in 1960, and it ranged, it was 12 foot tall, stood 12 foot tall, and it's about 2,200 pounds. So that was a big bear. Now how big is 12 feet? Let's show you. Okay, you see this tree back here? My ruler there, it's a little higher than that branch sticking out through there. Now I stand about 6'7". All right, I'm a little over 5 feet. Fine. So yes, we do have black bears in Indiana, more frequently as you go south rather than north, because we're too heavily populated in northern Indiana to have much of a bear population whatsoever. We haven't had black bear sightings in Indiana since about 1850. Some people say 1871. It just depends on who you talk to. But they're becoming more and more frequent, and we just think that it's because they're just searching out a different territory now. People say that grizzly bears can't climb trees, but grizzly bears and black bears supposedly are really good tree climbers. A guy was telling me about a black bear that went up a tree, and he said it went up so fast. He said it went up there faster than he could run. So they're really good climbers, but very rarely are bears aggressive, unless they're defending their cub, unless they're injured, cornered, or something like that. So it's a good idea to keep your distance from any kind of a bear. Now, most of the time, like I said, black bears are non-aggressive. They'll generally just walk away from you. Okay, black bears can see color, and unlike most animals, only see black and white. But bears do see color quite well. They got a good sense of smell, good sense of hearing, and pretty good eyesight as well. They can live in the wild for about 30 years, and they do go into a state of hibernation, but it's not true hibernation. So they may wake up several times in the wintertime, and they do have their babies. They'll be born at the end of January through the beginning of February there. So they are awake when they have their young. Generally one to two what's called cubs. A male bear is called a boar, and a female is called a sow. It's a good idea to stay about a quarter of a mile away from a black bear. Remember that bears can run about 35 miles an hour. Now, if you're in really good shape, you might be able to run about 10 or 15. Most of us can run about 5 or 6 miles an hour because we lay on the couch a lot. But most of us, unless if you're in really good shape, if you're in the Olympics, you can. There have been speeds up to 28 miles an hour. So you're not going to outrun a bear no matter what you do. This is a safe distance for viewing bears on the other side of a lake. And here's that same bear being viewed the distance of a football field about 13 seconds later. Suddenly, that bear repellent you passed up at Walmart doesn't seem quite so expensive, does it? So, what are you going to do if you see a bear, if you spot a bear? The best thing you can do is when you're on a trip through bear country, talk, make noise as you're going along. You know, sing to yourself, anything that will alert a bear that you're in its vicinity. Never try to run from a bear. And if you do see a bear, make sure that you just walk away from it slowly. Do not raise your hands and start screaming at the bear, because it may see that, especially if it has cubs. It may see that as a threat, and it may charge. Many times a bear will charge, and it's just a fake charge. But the worst thing you can do is try to run from a bear, because the bear can run 35 miles an hour, and you can't run anywhere near that. So you're not going to outrun a bear. Same with any other animal, most other animals. Don't try to outrun them. The best thing to do is, if you have to, just raise your hand, make yourself look bigger than you are, but don't be screaming at the bear, because they may see that as a threat. And they say that if you're in a fight with a bear, the best thing to do, if it's a black bear, you can fight back. If it's a grizzly bear, well, play dead, put your hands up over your neck, or lay on your belly, and hope your life insurance policy is up to date. Wear a backpack to protect your back, and play dead. That's your best hope, and sometimes they will stop the attack. Okay, so let's look at the two other kinds of Ursas that we have here in the state of Indiana, which would be the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper, which are not recognized as constellations. They are part of a larger constellation known as Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. Major means large. Ursa Minor, that's Little Bear. Ursa Major, that's Big Bear. So those are the two constellations that we have. And the way that you can find the North Star is in the handle of the Little Dipper, what we call the Little Dipper or Ursa Minor. And you can find it pretty easy. If you find the Big Dipper, it's the third largest constellation in the sky. Okay, look for the part that pours out of the Big Dipper, and shoot an arrow right through them two narrow stars there, and shoot them straight up toward the about 5.5 times the distance of those two stars. You're going to point that arrow straight up, and you're going to come to the other nearest star, which would be the North Star. The next star, basically in line with those two stars, are right at the end of the Big Dipper. So in other words, if you had water in that Big Dipper and it's pouring out, those two stars that water be pouring out there, those are the two pointer stars. You're going to point that straight to the very next star, which is called the North Star. So that's how you can find the North Star. Once again, my name is Andy Langdon. This is Nature A to Z with the letter U. U for Ursa. And thank you for watching. Bye.